Mic check one, mic check two. If you are watching this live stream back on the replay, take advantage of the chapters and skip ahead to the start of the show. I'm still setting up and giving people some time to tune in. Hope you guys had an awesome weekend. I had a productive weekend myself. Wouldn't say awesome, I say productive, because I was getting a lot of work done and taking care of some research and getting these formats ready for this week of these awesome shows we got coming up and getting this weekly recap set up for you guys. So let's go ahead and share this live stream on Facebook and get our social stream ninja set up, and we can go ahead and start the show. I want to get this show done on time. Got a few other things I need to do tonight. I need to make another video for you guys. There we go. So that's good. So we got a lot of different things coming up. And guys, we're reaching a milestone on the channel. So I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to everybody that's been supporting the content, that's been liking, that's been sharing. Every little thing you do matter and it counts. So we are reaching 100,000 channel views. We are creeping up on that. So I'm knocking right on the door. Every view we get is reaching a little bit closer, just getting a little bit closer to that goal. So we're about to hit 100,000 channel views on YouTube. Yes. All right, so we get that. Let's go over here. We got the social stream ninja set up. I got that stuff. Now we about to share the stream on my personal Facebook page. And then after I do that, we got about 2 minutes till showtime, so we're good. But the chat is open, guys. If you want to say something, we got a new follower over there on Facebook. I got that. That's awesome. Now we about to share the stream. Pause this because that's coming through. Let's share this on the main page. We are live. We are live. There we go. All right, so we got that going while my family is quiet. See, let's go ahead and get this show done so I can get one step closer to getting rich. Oh my gosh. So I can get an office and another place, another environment where we can get this stuff done with no interruptions. Because, boy, family and work do not mix. I'm trying to tell you. You know, I did a whole video on it. If you go through the channel where you find it. Woo, working from home is not for the weak, boy, I'm telling you. Oh, all right. So we got that. We got the chat set up. We got the script set up. And just double checking everything, guys. We're going to start on time. Double check the sound. I already know my lights are good. Yep, sound good. Oh, we need the cursor. Here it is. Bring the cursor over and we can go ahead and get started. Now, remember, this is our second time with this new format for the weekly recap live. So it takes a little bit longer for me to get in the groove with this because we're only doing it once a week. The market recap lives, I'm good because we do that frequently. So I got that down. But this, I'm going to have to, it's going to smooth itself out over time. But anyway, that's that. It is 9 o'clock, so we can go ahead and get started, guys. Let's go. Welcome to Weekly Recap Live. I'm your host, Joseph Martin, and thank God it's Sunday, guys. Guys, it is Sunday. And tonight we are taking a look at Super Micro Computer Incorporated, ticker SMCI, and Tesla Incorporated, ticker TSLA, which were our biggest gainers and losers from our market recap lives this week in the S&P 500. We're going to review their sectors, industries, sub-industries, and the performance of their peers to look for opportunities in the market. But before we do that, let's do our roll call and check our stream poll. We are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Let's get this chat going and tell us where you're tuning in from. Put a YT in the chat if you're tuning in from YouTube, FB for Facebook, and an X for X. While you guys are filling up the stream and the chat, here's the mission statement. We are building a community over here for people who want to take control of the financial situation by learning how to unlock the wealth building power of the stock market. And we are streaming Monday through Friday following trading sessions at 11 p.m. Eastern time. The U.S. stock market regular trading hours are 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time. And there's a link for the New York Stock Exchange calendar down in the description. Okay, let's get to it. Market recap gainer. And pull up the charts. Let's pull up the charts. Let's go to the charts, guys. So here. Bam. And we are looking at super microcomputers. Got it. So Super Microcomputers Incorporated, ticker SMCI, were our biggest gainer on Wednesday, July 22nd, finishing that day up 19.84%. I have a link for that video down in the description if you want to watch our analysis. So let's go over this real briefly. We are looking at a 1-year daily chart for SMCI. Ticker is right there inside the symbol box. Here's their 52-week high of $62.36 and their 52-week low of $19.48. Guys, I got something popping up. I need to get rid of this real quick. Give me 1 second. Ooh, I hate when this program does this in the middle of a live stream. Give me 1 second. Let me close this program out. Let me close. I'll be with you in 1 second. 1 second. All right, end task. I'm waiting to confirm that everything closed. All right, we're good. All right, so this won't be popping up in the live stream no more. All right. So let's put everything we had back. There we go. All right, so we talked about and Friday's close, and they closed Friday. Super Micro Computer Incorporated closed Friday at $30.10. Okay, all right, now let's pull up our notes. And let's start filling out this information so we can keep track of what's going on. All right, so I already have the information in here about SMCI, today's date. They were the biggest mover for a day. And we'll talk about that a little later in the show. And the percentage that they moved that day was 19.84%. We're going to get the week change after we... How do I want to do that? I think I want to do that after we... No, we'll figure that out. All right, so what we're going to do, guys, we're going to find out what sector it's in, industry and sub-industry, and put that inside our notes. So I already know that. Well, I know, but I need to show you how to do it. So let's take this stuff off the screen, minimize this. We'll come back to our notes in a second. So let's go up here to the Analyze tab. And right here, we can see the SMCI is in the information technology sector. So let's start putting that in our notes. Here we go. So right here where it says sector, information technology, bam, we got it. Now we need to find out what industry they're in. So the way we do that, we go up here to the Market Watch tab, go to the Visualize sub tab, take me off the screen. We're going to condense this down to S&P 500. Okay, so over here, guys, it's going to be drop downs as we open this stuff up. So I'm going to close this right here where it says S&P 500. So we're going to find the information technology sector that's right here. So then this drop down opens. I'm going to condense some of this so it won't be so crazy. So these are the 11 sectors. So we know we're going inside information technology. So that's where we are. Here are the different industries. So we need to find SMCI, and they are in the technology, hardware, storage, and peripherals. And the sub industry is the same thing. So we go to SMCI, they're down here in the corner, highlight that, click it, and then we get the drop downs. So we got S&P 500, information technology, technology, hardware, storage, and peripherals, and technology, hardware, storage, and peripherals. All right, so we can put me back on the screen. Let's pull up the notes and let's put that information in here. So it's technology, hardware, storage, and peripherals, and technology, hardware, storage, and peripherals. All right, we got it. And now I think we're going to go ahead and start making the watch list with this company inside of it. Okay. So we're going to go over to the market watch tab and then go to the quotes sub tab. And now we're going to take this down to, you can create your own watch list. All I'm doing is going to put this company in a watch list so we can break it down in columns and get some more information. So here's the ticker, SMCI, and I want to see the week percentage change. So the week percentage change for SMCI is 24.48%. So pull up our notes and I'll put that information in right there. Make sure that's on percentage. Absolutely. So it's 24.48%. Bam. All right, we got it. Now let's see where we are. So we have that done. Let's go back to the charts because that looks so blank. All right, go here. Let's move on. We talked about the percentage change, the sector, industry, something. We got all that. Now we're going to pull up Tesla. So go up here to our symbol box, TSLA. Got it. And we're looking at a 1-year daily chart. So let's talk about this. Tesla Incorporated, ticker symbol TSLA, were our biggest loser on Thursday, July 23rd, finishing that day down 14.52%. I have a link for that video down in the description if you want to watch our analysis. Now let's briefly go over Tesla. So we are looking at a 1-year daily chart on Tesla. There is their name in the symbol box. They have a 52-week low of $297.82, 52-week high of $498.83, and they closed Friday at $313.03. All right, so we got that, and now we need to pull up our notes so we can put me back on the screen. Let's clear out that scribble scrabble. Pull up our notes. So we're going to pull up their sector, their industry, and their sub-industry. We already have the percentage change for that day that it had this week on Thursday. Did I tell you? Yeah, that was Thursday. Yeah, on Thursday. I'm going to put that in these notes so it'll be more specific. I can glance for it right there. But okay. All right, so let's go over to analyze. And we can see that Tesla is inside of the consumer discretionary sector. So let's put that in our notes now. Consumer discretionary sector. Now we need to figure out what industry and sub-industry they're in. So we go to Market Watch, visualize, go back to the whole list, S&P 500, consumer discretionary is right here. So it looks like, so we're in consumer discretionary. Let's drop these down. They are in the automobiles industry. And they're in the automobile manufacturers sub-industry. So let's pull up our notes. So automobiles industry, an automobile manufacturer sub-industry. So we have that. Now we're going to put them over in the watch list. So minimize our notes, go over to quotes right here where it says symbol TSLA. We're looking for the weekly change. They were down 17.81% on the week. So put that in our notes. Down 17.81% on the week. Got it. Got it. All right, so we're done with that. I'll pull back up the charts and let's see where we're headed next. So pull up biggest gain. Got it. Okay, so let's go here. Take that down, go here, take that down, go here. All right. So we just covered the companies that had the biggest percentage change in a day. But now let's go to the S&P 500 watch list and check to see what companies had the largest percentage gain and loss in this week. All right, so now we're about to check to see what we can find out about that and put it in our notes. So let's go back to the charts. Think or swim. I can leave a like there. All right, so we're going to go to Market Watch sub tab and go to the quote sub tab, which we already have. We're going to have to change these columns, but first let's pull up the right watch list. So we go right here. We're going to go to public R through W, go to S&P 500. Bam, that's where we go. And after we have this whole list pulled up, we do not need all this information. So I'm going to change these columns to 1 week percentage change, which I just did, and it did not change anything. Did I forget to save it? I don't know, but let me put me on the screen and let's figure this out. If it didn't change after we did that, so we go to mark, yeah, it should have changed. So let's go ahead and do this. So what I want to do, we don't need these 3 columns, guys. The one that says 1 month, 3 months, 6 months. So I'm about to show you how we adjust that. We go right here to settings, go to customize, and in this box, this is what we have pulled up in the columns. These things right here. Let's remove that one. We don't need the 1 month. We don't need the 3 month. We don't need the 6 month. Before I change this, I'm gonna show you why I'm removing it. These columns take up a lot of data. They take up a lot of data because it's code that's bringing back these numbers. So if we scroll down, we can see that it stops bringing up everything we need if we have too much stuff going on. So that's why we're removing those scripts from those columns to take some of the data load off of the system. Okay, so we go to customize and we're going to remove the 1 month. We don't need that one. We don't need the 3 month. We don't need the 6 month. Click save as. This is what I didn't do last time. So now that I saved it as, it should update. This column is set with this name already exists. Yes, I want to replace it. So that's that. So let me show you what it should have did the first time I pulled it up. So we had it on money tracker columns. So that's how it was before. And now when we go to 1 week percentage change, bam, we're good. And now it'll go all the way down to the bottom once it finished loading. You know what? If it didn't, that means we still have too much stuff on here, guys. And we'll just remove some more columns. We just keep doing it until we have enough, until we have what we need. If it's still not showing up. Because I checked this earlier, it was fine, but I just didn't save it. So we go to customize. Let's take off the 52-week high, 52-week gain and loss. Let's remove those. Remove, save as, save, yes. All right, let's see if that helped. Yes. All right, now we got everything. Okay, guys, good. We're there now. So what we're doing, we're looking to see what company had the biggest percentage change this week. So we have that column now. So we're just going to change the order of the column. Now, let me show you something or explain something to you that's kind of off about this system. They're going to put these in order based off of negative, positive, and the first digit in sequence. Okay, so if it's a 10, it's going to show up with the ones because the first digit is a 1. You'll see what I'm saying when we go through it. But if we use this column that Thinkorswim offers, it will do it correctly. But in a custom script, it just numbers things funny. So like when we look through here, the first digit on 10 is 1. So it's actually in order, negative 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. But you'll see when we do that with this column, when we get down to negative 1, you see how it'll jump. I'll show you when we get there. You see how it goes from negative 1 to 10? That's because the first digit is 1 in that sequence. So if we're looking for 10, we have to look in ones. So if it was a 100, if something was down 100%, it would show up in the ones. That's weird, guys. That's how it works. I just want you to see how it works and where we would have to look. So we're looking for what company had the biggest percentage loss and gain. So the first one let's look at our notes. So let's pull back up our notes. So the first one we're looking at is what company had the biggest gain. We're not looking at the 1 day, so we're not worried about this. We're looking at the 1 week change and then find out the other information that we need. So let's go through this list. So the first thing we're seeing is Tesla. So the only way to find out if there's something, not only way, but what we're looking for now, we're just going to go to the -2s and see if there's something in the 20s, like a -20-something% or a -30-something%. We're going to look at those. If we don't find anything higher than that, then the biggest loss this week, the company that had the biggest loss this week together as a total is going to be Tesla. So let's go down to the 2s. That's what I don't see anything in the 20s. So let's go to the 3s. I don't see anything in the 30s. And I don't think we're going to find anything higher than that. So we're good. We're good with that. So the biggest loser on the week is Tesla because they lost the most They had the biggest percentage loss this week in total. And then in a single day, their biggest loss was 14.52%. And for the week, it's 17.81%. But we're doing our due diligence because sometimes it might be a whole different company that lost more over the entire week versus the biggest loss in a day. That's why we're doing this. All right. So now we did that. Now we're looking for the biggest gain percentage change as far as a gain over the past week. So now we change this to positive, and we know it's not going to be in the 90s. We could have just kept it in the order it was and just go all the way down to the bottom, or go near the bottom, because we need to go down to the ones, the positive ones. Here we go. So that's 0. Here are the ones. So we go into the tens place. So we got 15.42%. That ticker is WAB. So now let's go to the 2. And I see 24. 24 is SMCI. Let's go to the 3. See if we see, I don't see anything in 30s. And I don't see anything in 40s. So just so happens this week, guys, and I know that was kind of slow. I might be boring you a little bit, but we working, guys. It's SMCI. So we can just copy it because we already have it here. So SMCI also had the biggest percentage change that was a gain this week. So they gained 24.48% over the entire week. And they're the same. All this is the same. So we can just highlight this, copy. That's SMCI, and then just paste, boom. And then here's Tesla information. So this week was kind of easy because we already have, it's the same companies. Just so happened it's the same companies. But I noticed last week it wasn't the same companies, but I didn't explain the difference between a percentage change and a change in a day and a percentage change for the week. So now we're going to cover both moving forward. And like I said, as we work out this format, I'll get faster, I'll get better at it. Like that issue we had about the columns, we fixed it. So that won't be an issue moving forward. All right. So now let's talk about market research. Let's go here. Bam. Yeah. Market research. Now we're about to look at the fear and greed index and the VIX index to potentially find clues in the data about why these businesses, sub-industries, industries, and sectors perform the way they did. Market sentiment. First, let's look, slow down. Market sentiment. First, let's look at what the overall mood of, guys, give me a second. Ooh, it's hot. I got a lot on my mind. Let's get this together. First, let's look at the overall mood of traders and investors in the market. All right. While smart money and institutions are moving the money and driving trends, so let's look at the fear and greed index brought to us by CNN. That's what we're about to look at now. And I took notes throughout the week, so I'll show you what I got and how we find this after I pull up the website. So here's the fear and greed index. Blow that up. And I'm going to have to take me off the screen because the way they have it positioned, I would be blocking it if I was on the screen. So that's where we are. So Friday, the fear and greed index was at 39. Okay. And let me pull up my notes and I can show you fear and greed right here. The dates. So throughout the week, let me condense this. I was keeping track of what it was. Now there's another way for you to be able to look at this and I'll show you. And last week there was an issue with the chart. I'll show you what I mean. So I condensed that. We don't need it that wide. So Friday was 39. Thursday was 39. Wednesday, 43, 41. And they tell you the range up in here. Where are the actual, someone put that in my notes because I don't see it there or this is blocking it. They tell you the range that each one of these represent. So I think it's from 0 to 25. Yeah, 0 to 25 is extreme fear. From 25 to 40. I wish they had the range visible, guys. I'm gonna have to do my research to get that for you. Okay, but anyway, right here in the notes, we got Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, and those are all of the fear index numbers throughout the week. If I didn't have those in the notes, you could go right here to where it says timeline, and they're going to give you a graph. And you mouse over it. You're going to have to go slow because it's real sensitive. So that's Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, and Monday. So I was putting it in my notes day by day. I'm scrolling over this to see if they break down the actual ranges. They don't. Take this off. Learn more about the index. Let's see if they break the range down here. Nope. 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 All right. So we did our due diligence here, and we found out that fear is driving the market. Now let me put me back on the screen. Let's go here. And I want to look something up so I could give you guys the range. I want to pull up this range. I know that if we pull it up on AI, they'll tell us what it is. Whew. All right, clear that out. Fear and greed index offered by CNN Business. All right, collapse that. Ask the question, blow that up, bring you guys over, and let's see what it says. Bam, bam, bam. We don't need that there. All right, guys, that's the data. So extreme fear is from 0 to 24. Fear is from 25 to 44. Neutral is from 45 to 55. Greed is from 56 to 75. And extreme greed is from 76 to 100. Now, sometimes AI can be wrong. So we're going to look at this to compare it to what it just said. Yeah, based off where it is right now, if that's 39, then yeah, neutral is between 40, 45, and 55. Got it. So yeah, that's it, guys. That's it. So we got it. Let's go to the VIX. Let me see what I got in my notes. So we go fear and greed. We did that. Market volatility. We can go here. Talk about that. All right, now, next, let's look at the magnitude of the swings in the prices and uncertainty in the market. So this is going to be the market volatility. So let's go to the VIX index brought to us by CBOE. All right, here we go. So we can go back to the Thinkorswim charts because this index is actually something we can pull up on the charts. So let's go here, here. I'm going to create a ticker for that. I'm going to do that a little better. So right up here at the top, we put in VIX in the symbol box. And here we go, guys. And I also put this in my notes throughout the week. So we can see that the VIX has a 52-week low of $13.38, 52-week high of $35.30. We are looking at a 1-year daily chart of the VIX. And Friday, it looks like it closed below the 200-day simple moving average. If we spread this out, we can see this better because the 200-day simple moving average and the closing price are real close to one another. So the bubbles are going to overlap. And when that happens, the actual price change takes precedent. Ooh, that looked nasty. We're going to do this a different way because that looked terrible. All right, here's another way to do this, guys. Here's another way to do this where that won't look so crazy. If we just go up here to the settings box and we open up the floating data box, we can mouse over Friday's candle. This candle right here, that red one, I'll show you. I'm just trying to zoom in to get a nice little view. This red candle right here. If we mouse over that candle, we can see the simple moving averages right there. So the 9-day simple moving average is $17.48. And the 200-day simple moving average is $18.69. And then we can see that the close was $18.58. So that means that Friday's closing price was below the 200-day simple moving average, but it was above the 9-day simple moving average. I also have my labels situated in a way where we can just look down at the bottom. So I'll show you how we just read the labels and we can get the same information. There's more than one way to do everything. Not everything, but usually it's more than one way. All right, so if we look here, this is my VIX label. So it tells me the most recent closing price. So right there is $18.58. If we go up here, we can see it's $18.58. When this label is red, that means that the price closed above the 9-day simple moving average. And as we see, that's exactly what happened. When this label is green, which is the 200-day simple moving average, it means that the closing price was below the 200-day simple moving average. So that's how I quickly glance at it. And these labels stay on my charts, even if I'm looking at a different company. So if I take this back to when we were looking at Tesla, we'll see that those VIX labels are still down there. But now we know how to read them, so I can pay attention to the VIX while I'm looking at a different company. All right. So we looked at the VIX, we broke that down. Let me pull up the VIX one more time, and then I'm gonna show you my notes. So let's go back to the VIX, VIX, and then I'm gonna pull up my notes to show you that I put it in my notes already. So bring this over right there. So right here at the top, that column, it says VIX. So that's Friday, 1858. You can verify that at the top where I showed you. You can look, 1858, the closing price. I'll show you. So we go here, it's right here, guys, 1858. So we can see that in my notes, 1858. It was 1870 on Thursday, 1664 on Wednesday, et cetera, et cetera. So I've been keeping up with that all week. So as far as right now, I'm looking at my 200 simple day moving average as far as like determining if the VIX is high or not. So because it closed under the 200-day simple moving average, I'm seeing that as uncertainty is not that bad. Now, if it was above both of them, yeah, it's bad. And the higher it get, the more uncertainty and the more volatility I'm seeing, or we should be seeing in the market. Okay, so we looked at market sentiment, we looked at the market volatility, and now we can move on to this. Tonight, ooh. I'm gonna keep it to myself. Let's go here. Let's move on. All right, community support. Back to the community. I would appreciate it very much if you guys share the stream, hit the like button, subscribe, and if you wish to send a monetary gift to support the content, Cash App and PayPal links are down in the description as well as on the ticker on the screen. And sponsorships of $10 or more are placed in the banner with your name and amount. And thank you guys for tuning in and supporting the channel. I really appreciate you. For tonight's show, it only costs $10 or takes $10 to become the first sponsor of tonight's show. That should have been in the script, but it wasn't there. But here we go. So there's that. All right, so let's move on. Sector performance tracker. Time to follow the money. Let's look at how each sector inside the S&P 500 index is performing by using the State Street Global Advisors ETFs. All right, so let's go back to the charts. You got that. Okay, so now that we're back at the charts, we're gonna go up here and we're gonna change this to sector performance. All right, now this is set to 1 day. We need to change this to 5 days so we can go through each sector and see how they performed this week, okay? So the SPY is down 0.6%. Energy is up 3.4%. Materials is up 1.4%. Industrials is up 1.8%. Consumer discretionary is down 5.2%. Consumer staples is down 1.2%. Healthcare is up 0.9%. Financials are up 0.1%. Information technology is up 0.2%. Communication services is down 3.9%. Utilities is up 2.5%. And real estate is up 1.2%. If I expand this on the right, we have this in ascending order. So we can see the percentage change of each one of these sectors from the largest gain to the largest loss. So we have that in order over here. So the top three, real estate, materials, and consumer staples. The bottom three, information technology, utilities, and industrials. That's what we got. And even two of the three largest losers were actually gainers. We can see that they actually finished the week green. Utilities was up 0.22%. and industrials was up 0.4%. Okay. So we have that. Now we're going to look at the S&P 500 watch list. So let me talk about that. So let's go here. Take that down. That's good. All right. Now we're going to look at the percentage change for 3 more time frames, the 1 month, the 3 month, and the 6 month, to get a broader view of each sector's performance in the S&P 500. All right. So let's go back to the charts. And here we go. So we're going to change this, guys, to pro market close so we can have that ready. We go up here to the market watch tab and we go to the quotes sub tab. We already have the S&P 500 watch list pulled up, but that's not what we want to look at. We want to look at the State Street. We want to look at the sectors. So we go over, I have a list, a custom list that I created. It's called State Street ETFs. So let me put me back on the screen and tell you about this. In last week's in last week's weekly recap live, I showed you guys how to create a scan and create watch lists to be able to have what I have. I'm going to make a video where I just do that, and I'll have that come out this week so you guys can create this and follow this along. I want you to know how to do it yourself instead of just sharing it with you. So I'm gonna create a video so you can do that. So we have this pulled up on the charts. Those ETFs that we had over here, it's the same ETFs, this list right here. Now we're looking at it under the quotes sub tab, under the market watch tab. Now we need the right columns. We need the money tracker columns. All right, so now we can see the week change, the month change, the 3 month change, and the 6 month change. And now we're going to pull up our notes. So now we're really digging into it. So now we pull up our notes, condense this a little bit. We're going to go to notes. So what we're looking for, or what I'm looking for action inside of the sectors that the biggest gainers and losers are inside of. So we had information technology and consumer discretionary. So I'm looking up here at those. So when we go up here, information technology is going to be XLK. So they're down 3.92% on the month. They're up 12.86% on the 3 months. And they're up 21.4% on a 6 month time frame. Now that was information technology. Now let's look at, and we looked at that based off of SMCI, and they were the biggest gainer this week. The biggest loser was Tesla. So we're going to look at consumer discretionary. The ticker for consumer discretionary is XLY. So let me give you a little trick or a little hint to try to memorize this. XL, most of the ETFs end with the letter that deals with that sector. For example, real estate is easy because it's XLRE, real estate. Then you have industrial, so it's XLI. Utilities is XLU. Some of them are easy, other ones is weird. So like materials isn't XLM, it's XLB. But the one that tripped me up is usually consumer discretionary and consumer staples. So the way I've come up with a little trick to remember it is that consumer staples is XLP. So staples has P in it and consumer discretionary has Y in it. So that's going to be XLY. So that's a little trick about how I remember it. So if I'm looking for consumer discretionary, I know I'm looking for XLY. So there it is right there. I should have not clicked on it because now that whole row going to be blue. It's going to be blue. So let me change this back. So we go back to Market Watch and we have that. So it's another way to do it. If I just mark the row, it will be easier and change this back. This is one of the annoying things about this platform. Once you select something, it's going to make that whole row blue. So you can't see the color coded things you made or how the columns are because everything in it is going to be blue. But anyway, when we look at consumer discretionary, they're down every time frame we're looking at. They're down on the week. They're down 5.22% on the week. They're down 4.92% on the month. Let me point to this. They're down 7.07% on the 3-month time frame and down 10.77% on the 6-month time frame. And that was our biggest loser with Tesla. So that's telling me there must be other companies inside that sector that's losing. Like, they're losing. Information technology has been a leader for a while. And since we've been looking at it, it seems like certain sectors inside information technology is doing well. Certain industries, my apologies, certain industries inside of that sector is performing better than others. So that's why the overall sector isn't tanking, because other industries and sub industries inside of it are performing well while other ones are coming down or losing. All right, so that's that. So we covered that. Let me see what else I got in here. So strategies and goals. So let's talk about that. I need to practice this, guys. I'm gonna tell on myself. I'm just about to speak from the heart and tell you what I got going on. I need to practice this. So I'm gonna tell you throughout the week when we do the market recap lives, I'm doing that 5 days a week. And we've been doing that since February. So I got that down. But this weekly recap live, we all over the place. It looks like I don't know what's going on. That's because I don't have this format down yet. We're still working on the format. We're working on how we're gonna do it. What provides the most value? What makes the most sense? How can we bring this to you? So not only is the format important, but me knowing how to deliver it matters too. So this isn't a regular routine. So what I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna have to practice this a little bit more because we're only doing it once a week. So that's why it's like, it's a little off, but we gonna get there. All right, so strategies and goals. Now that we've looked at what's going on in the market, the sectors, the industries, the sub industries, and all of this means nothing. And I mean nothing if someone doesn't have a strategy and knows what their goals are. For example, if someone wants to buy and hold long term, what they see as an opportunity is going to be totally different from what someone who is swing trading and looking to profit from declines in the market is looking for. It's going to be totally different. So we're not covering strategies and goals. I'm sharing how to do the work to look for opportunities that aligns with the strategy and goal. Okay, that's what we're doing. So ETFs and companies, the biggest gainer from our market recaps this week was Super Micro Computers, and it's in the information tech, or they're in the information technology sector in the S&P 500. One of the ETFs that tracks it is the XLK. And the biggest loser, Tesla, is in the consumer discretionary sector, which is what we just were looking at in our notes. And one of the ETFs that tracks it is the XLY. So we're going to look at how some of the top companies in each of those ETFs are performing. All right. Here's the fun part. We got the hard part out the way. I got to get the middle part down. Here's the fun part. Now that we done broke it down to specific sectors, now what we can do, and you're going to need the watch list. And like I said, I'm going to make a video about it. But until then, I don't want you waiting, but I'm not going to show you how to make that watch list in this video. I'm just going to tell you where to find it. If you watch last week's weekly recap live, I have the chapters laid out for you, and it's a chapter that says create query, watch list query, or query scan or something like that. That's the section that shows you how to create the watch list that I have. Okay, so let me show you what we're going to do here. We are going to go here where it says personal, because these are custom watch lists that I created, and we're going to go to consumer discretionary. So this is going to be all of the companies that are inside of the consumer discretionary sector inside of the S&P 500 index. Okay. And I know this probably looks intimidating, but just give me a second. We're going to break it down. What we're going to do, we need to change this to ascending order where we have the largest market caps at the top. So that's what we just did. I clicked market cap a couple of times. So now we have the largest market cap at the top. We got Amazon, Tesla, Home Depot, McDonald's, TJ something. I don't even know what that is. So anyway, we can find out what it is, but off the top of my head, I don't know what that is. So we can expand this and get the name, or we can click on it. And then because we have this link to one, we go to analyze. As long as that's linked to one as well right here, we can get the name of the company, the TJX Companies Incorporated. And we know that they're in their information technology. We know that they're in the consumer discretionary sector, okay? So we go back to Market Watch. I don't want that selected. So one of the ways to unselect that is to go here and just change this to something different. So we go back to Market Watch, and there we go. So I want to show you guys something here. We go to the Analyze tab, and we're going to put in the ticker for that fund, the consumer discretionary. So that's XLY. Now we can see those companies right here at the top. They're not in the exact order, but we can see that those companies are here at the top. And this is where they talk about the weights. This is where they talk about the weight. So Amazon is the heaviest weighted company inside this ETF. Inside this ETF, XLY. And they tell you the ETF is the consumer discretionary ETF. And we can see Tesla is number 2 weighted, coming in at 16.08%. So that's why I like to put the market caps, the largest market caps, at the top in the watch list, because they're going to weigh on that ETF the most. They're going to weigh on that fund the most based off the fact that they're heavy weighted. So guys, we can see that the largest market cap companies, which are the heaviest weighted, are all red. So this is the 1 week percentage change. I'm seeing more red over here than green. So that's the week. Here's the month. Don't do that. I knew this was going to do this once. Here's the month time. Let's do it this way. This column is the month. This will be easier instead of trying to highlight the whole thing. Here's the 3 months. Here's the 6 months. And here's the month. Here's the week. So you got 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months. The top 4 are red in every time frame. Let me do that one more time. I can go down even a little further. Let's get the top that look like 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Guys, they're red in all 4 time frames we're looking at: on the week, on the month, on the 3 month, and on the 6 month. They're down. And that's easy to see. And we used Tesla as a clue to go look at that in particular sector. So to me, that's telling me the overall trend in that industry, in that sector. There's a difference between sectors and industry. The overall trend in that sector right now is down. It's weak. You see way more, and those are the big dogs. So it's weighing down that overall sector. So that's what I'm seeing there. Now let's move on and let's look at the other sector. So I believe that was information technology. So we're going to pull that watch list up, go over here to personal. And here we go, information technology. Now, when we pull this up, this doesn't look as bad as what we were just looking at before. And we're going to go over to analyze, and we're going to put in the ticker for that one. So that's going to be XLK. And then we can see the top weighted companies right here. You see where it says weighting. So we have NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, Broadcom, AMD, Micron, Intel, AMAT, Cisco. So now we're looking for those to be the top holdings in the watch list. So we go to Market Watch. We already have them pulled up. And the market cap is already in ascendant order. So we already have that in the order we need it to be. So we can see NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, Broadcom, Micron, Advanced, Intel, Cisco. We see all of that up there. All right. And we're seeing green. Green. That's a little red there. So that's Microsoft. But it's not as bad. The other one was definitely more green. On the lower time frame, so we got the 1 week and the 1 month, we're seeing more red, not more red, but let me slow down. we see more red compared to green showing up over here in the higher time frame. So that's what I'm trying to say. In the 1 week and 1 month, we see more red here than we see red here. That's what I was trying to say. So this could potentially be telling us that it's weakening, like it's not totally weak yet. Like when we looked at the other one, it was totally weak because it was showing up in all 4 time frames we were looking at. But with this one, it's showing up in the week and it's showing up in the month. And that's what it's going to do before it shows up in the 3 month and 6 month. It's as if the weakness is going to continue. So that's something I would look out for and keep an eye on. Okay. All right. So that's that. Now we can go ahead and move on. Let's go here. Take that down. We got that. Okay. Upcoming earnings, guys. We're almost done. Finally. Let's go over to the Think or Swim calendar to check for companies that have earnings coming up this week. These companies should be experiencing high implied volatility because they're expecting moves due to their earnings events. Let's see what big names we can find. Yeah. All right. So we go back to the charts. This is easy. So we go to the Market Watch tab, and then we go to the Calendar sub tab, guys. And then right here where we see this cog, that's the settings. We click on that, show actions menu. And we go down to the S&P 500 index. So take me off the screen. It's going to be inside public R through W, S&P 500, bam. So we had that selected. And as you can see, all of these icons are telling us about the earnings that we have coming up. So Monday is going to be the 27th. And I'm going to go over this really quick. Put me back on the screen. Now, even though there's one icon right here, guys, that's because all of the companies that have earnings that are going to be announced on the 28th could not fit in that box. So that says times 44. So it's 44 companies that have earnings announced on the 28th. There's 55 on the 29th. There's 51 on the 30th. And then they have all of these in here. So you may not want to see every company that have earnings, right? So there's a way for you to break this down to make it a lot easier and manageable for the specific companies you want to or I want to look at. So here's how I do that. Since we can create a watch list, I'm going to use the watch list based on specific sectors. So instead of pulling up the whole S&P 500, I'm going to pull up each sector and then see what companies have earnings coming up in that sector this week. So right here where it says S&P 500 communication services, bam, that made it a lot easier for me. So I know that any company that I'm seeing in this week from the 27th to the 31st, any company that shows up inside of that box is going to be in the communication services. And the big name that I'm seeing that I would be interested in personally is Meta. Okay, so how do we take advantage of that? What will we do? We click on that box. When we click on that box, this will pop up. Now, this is what I don't like about the platform as well. These columns, they reset every time you go to the calendar. So if you want to see these in a specific order, you're going to have to drag them and move them. So I'm going to show you how I like mine. I like to have a symbol right next to the date. And then I like to have the quarter that's being announced. And then I like putting whether it's after market or before market right next to it. So I can quickly see Meta second quarter announcement going to be announced after market. Okay. So now that I have that, the other thing that I would want to do is send this to a watch list. So we're going to create a watch list specifically for all of the company earnings that I'm interested in, or that you would be interested in, or someone would be interested in. So we would left click on it to get more details about the company, and we would right click on it if we wanted to send it to a watch list. You can create an alert. It's other things you could do, but you right click on it, this box will pop up, and you can put right there where it says add Meta to watch list. Let's say the watch list wasn't there yet. This is how you do this. You go up here to the quote sub tab, and over here on the right, create watch list. You do not have to put anything in the watch list yet. You just name it. So we're going to put example and then just click save. I know I didn't erase that box. That box is for the calendar. So now when we go back, we right click on Meta, add Meta to watch list, and there's example. So now when we go back to the quotes tab, there's Meta. So that's how you would do it. Let's go back to the calendar and just keep doing it. So now we change the watch list to the next sector. So consumer discretionary. We have Royal Caribbean on Tuesday and Ford. On Wednesday, we have Chipotle. We have Carvana. We got MGM. We got O'Reilly. We got Starbucks. And again, if you wanted to add one to your watch list, let's say we wanted to add Royal Caribbean, right click, example. Ford, right click, add F to watch list, go to example. And just keep doing it, guys. Now, after you do all of that, after you go through your sectors, you pick what company you want to look at or keep an eye on for the upcoming earnings. The next thing you would do, you would just pull up that watch list now inside the calendar, because now you created the ones you only want to keep an eye on. I already did one for myself ahead of time, so I'm just using this as an example. So take me off the screen. So if I come down here where it says weekly earnings, did I erase it before we did the live stream? Boy, that show made me look goofy, didn't it? So let me go. It was a weekly recap. It's not that one either. So let's go to quotes. I wonder if I erased it so we could do it together during the live stream, or I didn't save it. It was either or. Recap earnings. There it is. I gave it a different name. I have multiple names in there, guys, so I got lost. So let's delete it because that made me look crazy. So we go down here, delete. Down here where it says weekly recap. That's empty. But before I delete it, let me verify that it's empty. So let's go here. Personal weekly recap. Yeah, that's empty. So let me just go ahead and delete that. Yes. And now, what was the other one? So personal weekly earnings. That's the one I should have used, but I put in example. That's the one we should have used instead of example. Weekly earnings was the example. That's the one I use when I create a watch list with you guys. That's what that's for. So let's delete example. So the one I wanted to use to show you that it would just pull up the ones you wanted to keep an eye on. We go back over to the calendar, and the name for that one is actually personal recap earnings. That's it, guys. That's the one. So these are the ones that I had already pulled up that I was interested in keeping an eye on. Okay. So that's how you can narrow it down. So this is a huge difference from, now remember I told you it was times 55 and times 44 or something like that. So this is the watch list that I narrowed down to what I wanted to keep an eye on versus pulling up the whole S&P 500. So now we pull up the whole S&P 500, and I believe the 29th had the most. So look how long this list is versus creating your own watch list and then pulling that up. So now we go to personal recap earnings. That same day, now it's narrowed down to 7. Yeah. So that's the way you do that, guys. All right. So let's go ahead and get ready to look at what upcoming live streams we have coming for this week. All right. So let's go here. Bam. Take that down. We can leave like up. Go here. All right, guys, that about wraps it up. Let me show you what companies we're covering this week. All right, so let me go to my YouTube homepage and pull that up. Oh, yeah. I don't want to see if anybody subscribed and how many people watched and all of that until I'm actually done with the live stream. So let me find out a way to go to the studio to get this information without seeing that right now. View your channel. Got it. There we go. All right, F11. Here we go. All right, let me pull this up for you guys. Upcoming live streams. Here we go. Bam. So we are covering Meta before they have their earnings. So we're covering them on Monday, and I believe their earnings are on Wednesday, and we can verify that right now. Wednesday, Meta. Yep. So their earnings are on Wednesday. We're doing a pre earnings video on them for Monday. So let's go back to the YouTube page, and we're covering Seagate on Tuesday, Microsoft on Wednesday, Amazon on Thursday, Apple on Friday, and we're doing our weekly recap live on Sunday, August 2nd. There we go, guys. We did it. We got through it. It was tough, but we got through it. I got another video done. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. I hope you guys had an awesome time, even if it was to laugh at me and be like, what is going on? I just hope you enjoyed yourself. You learned something. You got some value. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. You already know. I hope that you learned something, and I hope that you earned something. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. I'll be here, same place, same time next week. And make sure you keep tuning in weekdays following a market trading session at 11 p.m. Eastern time. Take care and God bless.